Welcome back to the Super Soda Bros podcast. I'm Caleb.
And I am Luke.
This is a News Fanatics production, just two brothers talking about random stuff. So, Luke, how are you doing this evening?
Well, I'm doing all right. It's halfway through the work week, so I guess it's going pretty good.
Yeah, same here. Not doing too much. I figured we'd jump on and do another podcast. The first one actually got some pretty decent views. I'm not sure what the statistics are like on Spotify. I'm not able to get that data yet, but as of right now, the video on YouTube has just over 35 views, which is not great, but
It's not great, but
it's also like the first episode, and I don't have a big gathering on YouTube anyway, but I'm sure with time those numbers will rise.
I also you gotta take in consideration when we did our original podcast way back in the day, we got 0 views, so anything is better than that.
I think in programming terms, it's like a non-zero number is just like any real number that isn't nothing.
Yeah, I understand that completely, and I agree. Yep.
This week's sponsor is Cheese Balls. I'm not sure how most of you guys feel about these little cancer-providing snacks, but I mean, they're pretty good. They taste like cheese, and they're made out of balls.
The real question is, are we sponsored by Utz cheese balls? Are we sponsored by generic brand cheese balls? That's the true question at hand.
I think for legal purposes, it's going to have to be generic brand cheese balls, because if we say the other one, then, we might get into some legal trouble.
I don't know about that.
Well,
You think so?
I think so. I don't think we can put a name on them for the people that sponsor us monetarily. I mean, I don't even think generic cheese balls sponsor us monetarily. I think they just give us comfort and joy.
And big old bellies with all those free balls in our stomach.
Hey, yo, what are you talking about, big balls? It's a hard hat holiday, respectfully. All right, so let's get right into the show. So the next big thing, something that's on everybody's mind right now, literally, it's called Neuralink. It's a project put forward by Elon Musk. Right now, it's still in the development stages, but I think this is going to completely change how society is going to process information and interact with one another. So, Luke, I was talking to you a little bit before the show, and you said that you don't know too much about this, right?
No, I haven't heard anything lately about Elon Musk and what he's doing. All I know is that he ditched California, big, did a big FU and moved to Texas, and that's basically all I've heard in the last month or so.
Yeah, he was basically just trying to escape the taxes and all the restrictions he was having with this company. So he just wanted to go somewhere a little bit more free. So he can spend his money to do stuff like, put people in space, build cars, and forward technology.
And also, there's a lot of free space in Texas, so if you want to do some crazy stuff, they're probably like, go nuts. There's like 1,000 square miles where you can do whatever you want.
So
also, wait,
yeah,
one quick side tangent for 3 seconds. Literally today, California just banned generators for personal homes.
No way.
Yup.
Really?
Yup.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Because
how bad do you have to be to ban a generator?
Well, here's what they're trying to do. They're trying to avoid emissions from them, because I know some put harmful stuff into the atmosphere. But also, if you think about it, California is a long state. Like, the north of it is literally touching the state of Washington, which is cold.
Yeah, like those poor people up there who are going to get in blizzards. Like, okay, I guess we can't use our generators because they're illegal now.
Because the people from LA have, the perfect energy system. And so if people have generators, they're like, I'm just going to turn it on for fun, even though we have the whole network to get power.
I feel like the entire state of California relies on how poorly LA is doing. They're like, oh, LA is just smog and haziness and pollution. The rest of California has to deal with what laws we put into place.
The society of California is very similar to Pittsburgh, where I currently live, where you have the main city, which has its own culture and ideas and stuff like that, and even economy. And then you go 15 minutes outside the city, and it's a completely different world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pittsburgh is a very big steel, or I guess it was a very big steel manufacturer. So anywhere where those steel mills are still around, maybe they're not being used, but that's kind of where most of the rural population is. And
Hmm.
California is basically the same thing. Like you have L.A., San Francisco,
And then a whole
Sacramento.
lot, and then just a whole lot of nothing,
Yeah, a lot of mountains, a lot of like nothingness.
or small towns and that kind of thing.
Anyway, steering us back toward the topic at hand. Neuralink is a technology which Elon Musk is trying to forward, where it is a piece of technology that you actually insert onto the brain. It's going to be reading the neural pathways in your brain, hence the name Neuralink. Uh, and so it's basically enabling you to connect to things via Bluetooth, the internet, and other devices, directly inputting them into your brain. So
Oh,
if that sounds kind of authoritarian or dystopian, it's one of those things where you're going to be able to connect to your phone and or maybe like music. So let's say you connect to Spotify. If Spotify has a plugin for this, Spotify is going to interact directly with your brain, so you're going to be able to hear music without headphones and without other people hearing.
huh.
Yeah, it's crazy. And all
That's weird. That's almost like the cresting point of diving right into all the end times predictions and things putting into places, injecting stuff into your skin that allows some sort of controlling factor down the potential controlling factor down the road,
yeah, well, I mean,
potentially.
with every technology, there's always um, the possibility that it's going to be used for evil use. I mean,
Yeah.
take a look at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, where
Take a look at social media in general. Have we not learned our lesson already?
literally they use algorithms to kind of feed what they want to show you, and even curating things by censoring or deleting things that either go against their guidelines or just simply things they don't like. Also, there's also a medical application to this. It's going to help with neurosurgery. So if you're connected to it and it can read all of your brain impulses going off, if that somehow connects to a medical system, then doctors can see what exactly the response your brain is getting if they're poking around or cutting things inside of you.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah, so it's going to work directly with electrical signals from the brain to read how you respond to things. So a lot of it's going to be personalized. So you're going to be able to like surf the internet with a thought, quite literally.
That's almost like Matrix stuff going on. Just being able to do whatever you want in your mind. That's kind of trippy.
It's really cool. Like this is something that I think this is going to happen in the next 5 years. Maybe even at a small scale, but I'm guessing it's going to be released to the public, if not for beta testing, but for like really rich people in around 5 years. And then I'd say within 10 years, it's going to be more affordable to like the high middle class end. Like maybe it's going to be like $2,000 for one of these. And then obviously down the road, it's going to become standard. Just like everybody has a cell phone nowadays, everyone's
Hmm.
going to have a Neuralink.
Well, hopefully it doesn't end up being some really creepy thing like Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook Meta, where it's like, oh, you can interact with everyone in VR. Excuse me, sir. VR chat has been around for like 5 years. Get with the times, please.
It's and the metaverse is such a weird thing too because it's going to be full body representation of yourself
Hmm.
and however you want to look, however you want other people to look. Also, like imagine if they work together where you have a Neuralink interacting with the metaverse. That's
You're just
literally
you're basically creating a copy of yourself at that point.
yeah. I mean, it can literally be the Matrix. That'd be
Can I be
crazy.
Keanu? If I kind of want to be Keanu Reeves now.
Ah, we all wish.
Can I be Keanu? I want to be Keanu. You gotta talk like this one for the rest of your life. You gotta be like very grudgy and whatever, man. And your dog has to die. You have to kill everyone because your dog's dead. And man, our next segment is never barely fried.
So, Luke, what do we have for the next segment? Never barely tried.
Oh, oh. I just remember my brain stopped working for a second there. Um, it's just this like, simple thing that probably a lot of people can relate with. The fact that for some odd reason, I don't know what caused it, but doesn't it seem weird how like when you get older, milk usually tends to spoil quicker than when you were a kid? Because I remember being younger and like you could have milk in the fridge for like weeks on end and it's just fine. It's just milk. It's there. It's good. But now, like, living on my own and buying my own groceries and stuff, it's like, yeah, this milk's already sour. Like, what the heck happened? Like, I use milk every day. It's like, why is it all of a sudden bad? Did they change how cows reproduce milk? Did they change what they're feeding the cows? Are they feeding them Soylent Green? What's going on with the milk in the grocery stores nowadays?
I feel that. I'm glad that you brought that up because I think that's something that everybody has in the back of their mind, but they never really think about it and it just stays back there.
Hmm.
I don't know if it has something to do with the way that the cartons are made, because I know a big factor of milk spoiling is actually light. So, you've seen milk cartons that are yellow, right?
I've seen clear and I've seen white.
Gotcha.
And I've seen cartons, but I've not seen yellow ones before.
Oh, interesting. There's not very many. But I see them every time I go to the grocery store. There's at least one variety of milk that has a yellow carton. It might just be a Pittsburgh thing, but I think I remember seeing some in Connecticut. Regardless, how light enters the milk interacts with kind of the types of enzymes that are in the milk, like that are given or taken from pasteurization. So that's like if you leave your milk out, I mean, obviously the warmth is going to affect it, but also it being
The
exposed
light
to
will
sunlight.
affect it.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And you kind of like the same idea with like beer and stuff. Like beer bottles come in every kind of shape and color. Like you have stuff that's like you know, a lot of Sam Adams and some Yingling comes in like brown or really dark brown bottles, and then you've got like Rolling Rock and
Corona.
Corona, which come in green bottles or clear bottles. And then there's other beers that come in cans and stuff. So it's like every single variation of how the liquid comes in does take in some sort of effect how it actually tastes. And there was a video by, I want to say it was Food Theory. I believe Food Theory released a video on YouTube where they tried multiple beers in multiple different bottles and multiple kinds of sunlight and how and warmth and all that stuff. And it was actually very interesting. It's definitely worth a watch. I'm sure you can just post like a screenshot of the video. People can go like, ooh, look at it real quick. It's actually pretty fascinating. And I'm sure milk is the same way, where depending on how it's stored and what comes in affects how quickly it goes bad or how it tastes,
Yeah, I'd be
I guess.
interested to see a video on that, like if whole milk spoils faster than fat-free milk.
Well,
Like
we all know that whole milk tastes better, so like, why get fat-free milk?
some people have, no, they do not have a proclivity toward whole milk where they have to get fat-free for health
I don't
reasons.
know.
Like I know a lot of older people can't really have whole milk just of how they digest it. So a lot of older people get fat-free or skim milk.
But you could just dump water in your milk and you're okay.
That's kind of gross. That's like that's
That's
a
gross.
dude. Let me tell you. Okay, so you know how nobody ever puts ice in their beer, right?
Yeah, yeah, I've never heard. Yeah, why? Do people do that? Do people in Pittsburgh do that?
Not in Pittsburgh. From across the blue ocean, across many lands, even I'm gonna probably get a lot of hate for this from my out of country listeners, but
Uh-oh.
a different continent,
Uh-oh.
some Brazilians put ice in their beer.
No. Why would you? Oh my. Why?
And here's how I found out firsthand. I was at a Thanksgiving party with some of Maya's friends. Maya is my wife. For those of you that don't know, she's Brazilian.
Wait, will we?
Yeah, she come from the Brazil,
Wow.
the greatest.
The bestest.
But I was at a Thanksgiving party, and literally everyone was there. Was Brazilian except for me and like someone's girlfriend who was from here, like literally from Pittsburgh. But yeah, and then because one of the girls was making me a drink in the other room. She was making a very specific Brazilian way, and I look at it, and it's got a big old ball of ice floating in it, and
Heck.
I'm like, thanks. Can you take the ice out? And she's like, oh, you don't want ice in it? I'm like, no, not really. I mean, I know it's. I explained to her. I'm like, I know it's already been in there for a little bit already. That's fine. I just don't want to have it with ice. She's like, okay.
Why would you put ice in beer? That's like a much greater sin than putting ice in orange juice or ice in milk. Like ice in beer is like, what are you doing? Go buy a Bud Light.
Yeah, and I wanted to confirm this because I know that this is not common within
Weird.
my other Brazilian circles. So I talked with one of me and Maya's friends who we actually knew personally. Her name is Cynthia. I'm like, Cynthia, do you guys do this? And she's like, I would not trust anyone who puts ice in their beer.
Hmm.
And I talked to
Interesting.
Maya, and she said, "Oh yeah, people do that, but it's not very common." And I said, "I just talked to Cynthia, and she said that people who do it are literally insane." And she's like, "Yeah,
Does
pretty much."
does does Maya? I don't think no Maya doesn't do it because I've never seen her do it.
No, she's not crazy.
Oh, good. Phew. I was gonna say like, oh boy, I hope she doesn't. But
Nope.
like, okay, so other Brazilians who put ice in their beer don't talk and hang out with them because they are
Correct.
mental.
Correct. Yeah.
Yikes, that's insane. I never knew that. Like, why would you ever do that?
And
Wow.
I guarantee like it probably happens more as a percentage in Brazil than anywhere else, but I am by no means wiping it off the table that other cultures and other countries do this. I'm calling that right now.
Still though, that's weird. That's like the probably the now that's my new top sin. Like that tops a lot of people do this. It's not that weird, but I think it's weird. Ketchup on eggs. Ice in the beer takes the cake for the weirdest thing, like the weirdest mixture that should not be allowed.
Well, do you want to pump it up one step further, putting ketchup on spaghetti?
All right, that's tied for beer and ice. Well, it might be worse. I don't know. That screams like my inner Italian is like, you must kill everyone.
I think you can get. I really hate to say this because it goes against every fiber of my being, but I think you can rate ice inside of beer pretty high on the gross food list. There's a lot of other gross foods that easily blow that out of the water.
Well, yeah, like gross foods, but I mean, like,
Food
just
sins.
ruining something, like ruining something. Yeah, yeah. Ketchup on spaghetti is probably right there with it. Either better or worse, I don't know, tied.
Well, here's one that I don't think anyone does, but imagine like taking a bowl of ice cream, warming it up in the microwave, and then eating it.
Why?
Just,
Just eat it
just imagine.
cold.
No, like do a thought experiment with me. You take a big old bowl of like moose tracks, like a moose tracks ice cream. Just put it in the microwave.
But you're just getting a milkshake at that point, kind of. But like warm.
It's warm and soupy. It's not even thick. It's very thin because
The
it got microwaved.
the only time that like that's good is if it's like a hot day and you're just like eating it in a bowl and it's just melting naturally. That's fine. But when you're like purposefully go out of your way to microwave ice cream, you should have a straitjacket on or something. Like, I like my ice cream warm and curdling. Oh no. Do you know someone who does that?
No, no
Who do
one.
you do that? Do you do that?
No, I don't. That's stupid. I'm stupid.
Do you wear straitjackets for fun?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Do you actually warm up your ice cream? Because I'm gonna have to talk with you.
No, no, no. I do not.
Okay.
I get.
Okay. I'm just making sure we're still related. That's all.
Well, I don't know about that.
Sweet Home Alabama.
Okay. All right, jumping into the next order of business. We kind of wanted to touch back up on this because we had talked briefly last episode about Halo Infinite. As you might remember, we recorded that episode the day before the campaign released for Halo Infinite. So now it has. It's about a week later, and Luke, you and I have both played the campaign for a couple hours at this point. I think
Yeah,
I
handful.
have maybe 10, 11 hours in the campaign.
Yeah, we're only probably we've done quite a few side missions, but we're probably 7 hours in, I would say.
Okay, okay. A decent
Maybe
chunk of
six,
time.
7, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's give our thoughts on the campaign so far. Spoiler free for those of you that are
Oh, try
already
our
on the
best.
campaign.
Yeah.
So, what were your initial thoughts going into it?
The first mission definitely felt like a good classic OG Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3 campaign where it's like you have like a set goal and you're going to this location, you're going through like even like the art style and like architecture design and the like even like the lighting very much felt like playing Truth and Reconciliation on Halo 1 where you're going through like these doors that like open in three ways and these long hallways and like gradual ups and downs and stuff for hallways and whatnot. And even with like the throne rooms remind me very much of Halo 3 when you're fighting against the prophets. I can't remember the name of the mission, but when you're fighting against prophets,
Oh,
that gave me very.
in Halo 3,
It was either Halo 2 or Halo 3. It might have been Halo 2. It might have been the
that bit regret.
Yeah, the regret. Yep. That's what it reminded me of.
No, but
Um,
what it really encompasses here, if I can just cut you off real quick,
no.
if I could think of a single Halo level that best describes Halo Infinite so far, it would actually be the Silent Cartographer.
Yeah, because it's like big, open, natural layout. Even just like Halo, like the mission Halo, just like open, just openness, like
Yeah,
room to move.
and then once you get inside of the structures, it's kind of that cramped hallway feel that you were talking about.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I feel like Ha- Halo Infinite campaign feels very much like Halo 1 campaign, where it's like either open spaces or like claustrophobic hallways.
Which is wild because it's 20 years later, and we have this
Yeah.
modern game with modern technology echoing the very first iteration of the
hmm
series.
But so far, I'm really, really enjoying it. And then once you're out of that first mission, it kind of takes a drastic turn of being like, okay, you guys are warmed up. All you classic Halo gamers are good. Here's how the game actually is. And then it throws you into this world that is like actual, like open world where it's like, you know, it gave me Far Cry vibes, being like, oh, here's this like enemy base, go there and take it over and do your thing. And then there's like, okay, here's like side missions you can do. Here's like rescue fire teams you can go help out, or you can just do the main campaign. So far, I'm really liking the freedom of it and being able to kind of do whatever you want in whatever pace you want to do it. So if you really wanted to, you could do every side mission in an area and then do the campaign, and then every side mission and then the campaign mission.
Right,
Or you
right.
can or you can just straight up blast through the campaign. But either
I
way,
I think
it's
a lot of times you do have to do some of the side missions because there's assassination contracts where you basically have to defeat a small camp of enemies, but mainly you have to kill the main dude, which has a very specific upgraded version of a existing weapon. For
mhm,
example, there's the weapon the skewer, which basically fires a giant spike.
super cool gun.
Amazing. But then the assassination reward for a specific boss is that same weapon, but when the spike hits something, it then explodes. So it's kind of
Hmm.
like a rocket launcher attached to it, or like there's an energy sword that swings faster, for example. And there's also different collectibles around the map, whether it's
Yeah, we have
multiplayer cosmetics or with these things called Spartan cores, which upgrade your abilities.
not found a single collectible, and we have not found a single assassination mission, or have just
Dude,
been too lazy to look around.
so the way that you find those, because they're not on the map immediately, you do have to take over an enemy base, which are those big red icons on the map.
Oh, and then from there you have to go do it.
It's kind of like in Shadow of Mordor, where you take over a tower and then it reveals all of the things in your area.
hmm
You can still find those things on your own if you're just randomly exploring a random area, but in order to get all of the waypoints active on the map for you to actually then hunt and find, you have to take over a red enemy base first.
That's good to know, because then that's probably what Christian and I will do now is just go take over all those bases because we skipped like one or two, three of them.
Yeah,
Take over those bases and then, get those final couple things.
and the thing that you really got to go for are those Spartan cores, which upgrade your abilities.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing with just a single tier of all your special abilities, you're really losing out on a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
like the first thing we did was the grapple, and being able to shock people like when you grapple onto them is so much fun.
it's a game changer.
Yeah, like it seems like, wow, look at that. I'm like, yeah, wow, look at that. Like you're like shocking a brute from like 30 feet away and pulling yourself at him and you like melee him and stuff. Oh, it's so cool.
You can
So cool.
actually, as you're pulling yourself toward him, once you get like within 10 feet, you can actually interrupt your grapple by shooting. So you can shoot him, and then as you land, you melee him.
Yeah, I've done that accidentally a couple
Oh,
times.
gotcha. But
Like, oh, you can do that.
and also with the jackals, because for you guys that don't play Halo, there are these enemies called the jackals, and they have energy shields, which makes them really hard to shoot. You can actually grapple them, so their shield lifts, and then you grapple them again to actually pull yourself toward them.
Hmm.
So it kind of disrupts their being. I don't know.
Stuff of things.
But also with the variety of unlockables and stuff like that in the Halo campaign, we'll get into the story, not the story, but we'll touch upon kind of the themes of the main campaign story. There is a lot of variety with the weapons. We see some classic weapons returning, like the assault rifle, pistol, battle rifle. But then we have some,
Needler.
yeah,
The Needler. I was gonna say if Halo ever leaves out the Needler in the game, they're gonna have an upset.
yeah,
I feel like the Needler's like the OG classic. Like you get the gun in Halo 1, you're like, what is this?
it's pink and it tracks people. That's weird.
It's spiky. It's very spiky.
And then you have new weapons like a different version of the shotgun. There are some alien weapons that are different, like the skewer that we talked about.
I definitely like the variation in the how guns are actually quite different, and each one has its own purpose. Because in Halo, in all the Halo games, you can kind of get away with every gun doing what it does. But in Halo Infinite, every gun has a specific purpose, and you're like, okay, I need this because it can do this, and it does it well.
Yeah, like you got to go into a heavy encounter with some kind of heavy weapon, whether that's like an energy sword or the skewer or a rocket launcher, just so you can like blow up tough enemies in one shot.
One thing that I've definitely noticed is I'm leaning towards snipers or long range guns a lot more in this since it's open world. So I can pick off all the weaklings and then go in and finish everyone off.
Gotcha. I'm kind of the same way too. Like with the skewer, you can kind of snipe people from way out, and so I just take out all the big boys with that, and then take on the boss and small people
Yeah.
on their own.
That's another thing we touch on real quick is that there's actually bosses for the first time in a Halo game, kind of, where they actually have like health bars and stuff, and they have different attack patterns and defensive patterns, which I think is a great little touch to the game. So it gives it even that much more a difference from the other Halo games.
Yeah, there's some bosses that you can't really avoid in the campaign, like the actual main story missions. But with all of the assassination contracts, it's one big baddie that you gotta defeat, and he has his own shtick. Like it's either a guy in a wraith, or a guy with a hammer, or maybe it's just a grunt. There's a I forget what the name of the enemy is, but it's literally just a grunt, and he's so weak you could run over him with the vehicle and he dies in one shot. So I feel like they put that in there just for a meme.
I think so too. And have you been listening to the all the grunt dialogue? It's actually really, really funny. Like sometimes I just hang out and just listen to him. Like Christine's like, "What are you doing?" And then she laughs. I'm like, "That's why I'm waiting because they tell funny jokes and stuff."
I listen to them as much as I can.
Yeah.
I think I haven't gotten any rare ones like fourth wall breaking, like haha, I told you it was my turn to play the Xbox now, or like the I don't know if you come across it, but do you know the signal towers that put out the radio transmissions? Like it's like grunt radio or something.
No.
If you find them around the map, there's like a grunt radio announcer where I saw this clip on TikTok where it's this grunt saying, "I just found out the demon's name. The Master Chief's real name is John. John? Who's called John?"
That's funny.
And so you destroy the towers, and then you get like this resource called Valor, which unlocks marines and weapons and vehicles for your bases around the map. But they're basically just you find them and you listen to them for a minute or two and then destroy them. But they're really funny. And also, for the first time ever in a Halo game, the Jackals actually speak English.
Oh, they do.
They do.
Also I've also noticed elites and brutes and stuff, they call each other by their actual species, not by jackal or grunt. They actually go like Kigyar and Sangheli and all that stuff, which is actually kind of cool. Because there was one time our brute was like, "Oh, the Kigyar will take care of them," and I instantly go pop, 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 and kill them all. I'm like, huh. I don't think I've ever remembered in any other Halo game where the one species like talks about another species.
Yeah, I can't remember any either because I know they referred to the prophets all the time, like just the
That's
regular
about it.
enemies are like the prophets be blessed or something like that during the games. But yeah, no, I like how more world building they're getting. That's my kill. I get the spoils. They're kind of like scavengers, and then the Ungoi, the grunts are just funny. The brutes are very brutal and stuff, and the elites are all about honor and
Honor and
purpose.
respect and loyalty and calling and all that.
Yeah. So I really like those small touches that they put in for the
That
dialogue.
I feel like that's what Halo Infinite is. It's like very different, but it cleans up a lot of the little things that all the like deep Halo fans really, really want. It's like, okay, they're really fine-tuning every detail that they can with what they have.
So I'm really liking the campaign so far, like a lot.
Same.
Before I leave for work most days, I play 30 to 45 minutes of the campaign just to kind of get my feet wet a little bit, getting ready for the day. Yeah, Luke, you and Christine are going to have a lot of trouble getting the collectibles if you haven't yet, because there's a lot of climbing you have to do. A lot of
Oh,
climbing.
jeez.
Be ready to use that grapple hook over the entire map.
Oh, man.
It's not necessarily things that are hard to get to, but in order to get up mountains quicker, you're going to have to grapple off trees and stuff.
Yeah, grappling is definitely, like, fun, but if you miss one little step, it's like, oh, we gotta restart all that again.
Yeah.
I've definitely gotten better. When I first started doing the grapple, when I first started playing the campaign, even multiplayer, I was so bad at it, but I've definitely learned how to be Spider-Man a little bit more.
It's by far the most used ability that I have.
100%. 100%.
I never use anything else.
Yeah, they're like, here's a shield, here's a radar. I'm like, screw that. Give me the grapple. I'll use that all day.
Totally forgot what I was going to say. That's unfortunate.
And you're just probably going to say how great I am. That's probably about it.
Hey, Luke, you're pretty great.
Ah, gee, swell. Awesome. Thanks, pal, buddy.
You're the greatest, and I think that everybody wants to be like you.
What? I think everyone wants to be like Joel Byron.
Now, why would they want to do that?
I want to give him big old kiss on the lip.
There you go. So, Luke, is there anything else that you want to talk about? Anything else you kind of want to rant about?
No, not really. There's nothing. I don't feel like being mad.
Gotta head to the kitchen and clean some stuff up, but there's something in the kitchen.
Do you smell bacon?
You know, insert Jackie Chan outtakes here.
Ciao.
You love being the baby.
Let's go. I'm store fed. I eat the pre-made stuff from Walmart. I don't do natural.
My mommy buys it for me.
My mommy buys me Kool-Aid.
Is that why you're gonna die of a heart attack at age 6?
I'm just injecting it into my bloodstream like the Kool-Aid. It strengthens my soul.